Hi guys, my name is Christine, and today I'm talking about I will teach you how to feel it, how you can feel as if the wish has been fulfilled, how you can feel as if your desires have manifested, and how to feel it on a consistent basis. Because the biggest struggle that people have, at least from what I've seen, is when they start discovering the law of attraction and manifestation. Everyone comes across the terms on like, oh, you have to live in the end, or you have to feel as if the wish has been fulfilled. And it's very hard to do that. And a lot of people find this really tricky because the 3D reality around them is telling them differently. And it's very hard to feel like a wish has been fulfilled when the reality that you can see with your eyes and your other senses tells you otherwise. So it's very hard then to keep up with feeling like your wishes have been manifested when there's no physical, tangible evidence around you that the things that you want have manifested. Okay. So the trick then is how to feel this way on a more consistent basis, how to feel the wish has been fulfilled despite what your outward reality is telling you. Okay. So the way that Neville Goddard talks about this in his book, The Feeling is the Secret, he gives you two techniques on how you can reprogram your subconscious mind to begin to feel as though the wish has been fulfilled. Okay. So what Neville Goddard wants you to do is he wants you to reprogram your subconscious mind. Okay. Or condition your subconscious mind. Because a reprogramming, the problem I have with that word is that if you say reprogramming, it kind of goes into a sense of, okay, we're going to type in this little thing and it's going to be done. You're going to be reprogrammed, okay? Whereas as human beings, we've been conditioned to feel certain emotions on a daily basis. So for example, you could be feeling, let's take one of those common ones, like let's say you got a bit of social anxiety. Yeah, if you've got social anxiety, more than likely you've probably had that for a long time and you've conditioned yourself, or the environment has conditioned you into feeling social anxiety more often. Okay, so it's not like this was a once and done situation. There's many little things that have happened every day or every other day. It's been happening on a consistent basis basically for you to feel that way. Okay, so it's been conditioned into you. Okay, rather than it's just been programmed into you. So, how you then begin to feel as though the wish has been fulfilled, you don't necessarily reprogram your subconscious mind, but you condition it. Okay, you start changing and doing and feeling things differently every single day. Okay, and the way that Neville Goddard talks about this in Feeling is the Secret is the two ways is sleep and prayer. So, sleep is essentially this. Okay, so before you drop off to sleep tonight and every other night until your wishes have actually been fulfilled in this 3D reality, I want you, and Neville Goddard wants you, to feel as though the wish has been fulfilled those 5 minutes before you drop off to sleep. Because in those last few minutes before you drop off to sleep, okay, your brain waves become very, very coherent and very, very slow. And basically what happens is this, okay? The door opens to the subconscious mind when you're in that very, very relaxed state, and your mind is awake, but your body is half asleep. So that is one of the best times that you can start to recondition your subconscious mind, okay, or condition it to something different. And the other thing that he talks about is prayer. Now, the way that Neville Goddard talks about this in The Feeling is the Secret is basically meditation. Of course, you can use prayer as well if that's, if you're, assigned to a certain religion, and there's a certain religion that resonates with you, that's perfectly fine. But when you go to prayer or when you go to meditate, it's not like you're begging your deity or deities to give you something. You're not begging. You're not going to a place of want, of lack. You're going there to visualize what it is that you want and to communicate with that higher intelligence of what it is that you do want, and when you're doing that, you're conjuring up those feelings of the wish is fulfilled. Okay, so you're giving thanks and you basically force yourself until it becomes more naturally. You force yourself to feel what it would feel like if the wish had been fulfilled. And you do this in a very quiet moment, which is why in the book he describes, and he tells people to lay down and basically quiet your mind and take in deep breaths and things like that, because you want to basically get yourself into the same kind of state as you would before sleep, okay? And that's why I refer to it as meditation rather than prayer, but it doesn't really matter what word you assign to it. It's still the same technique. It's still the same thing. You're going into the silence, you're closing your eyes, and you're taking off, basically when you close your eyes, you're removing all stimuli from the 3D environment, and you're imagining and you're visualizing and you're feeling as if the wish is fulfilled, and you calm your body down while you're doing that, okay, or before you do that. So that's how one way or two ways actually how you can start to recondition your subconscious mind so it begins to think and feel differently. Now, this is a process. This is something that you have to keep on doing. You have to keep on basically doing this every day until your wish has been fulfilled. It's not like a once and done thing. It could be that you do it once so well that you never have to do it again because the thing that you want manifests. But for most people out there, you'll find that you're going to need to practice this, okay? Because when you come out of prayer and when you wake up in the morning, it could be that you slip back into your old routines and your old ways of being, which is why I highly recommend that you go and watch my video on how you can change yourself, okay? And how you can, I got some questions in there that you can ask yourself in the morning and before you go to bed, so it's more in the forefront of your mind to think and feel this way more on a daily basis, more on a regular basis, okay? And basically, I'll show you a little diagram here. This is what we're trying to do, right? We've got to mentally rehearse. They talk about that in The Secret, mental rehearsal. And that's something that a lot of athletes do. One that I can think of right now is David Goggins. There was a race that he was in, okay? I think it could have been the Badwater race, but anyway, it was a race that he was in. But before he would go on this race, on this long distance run, basically what he would do is he remembered that there was a tree at the finish line, and he would visualize himself getting to that tree, okay? And there's also something else that he would do as well, and he says it's like creating backstop. So he would like map out the different places on the map where he could like have a rest and stuff. So I'm sure he probably visualized reaching those points as well, right? I'm thinking of like, just seeing like the whole sort of trip, and being able to see himself going past each of those points, and of course also the finish line as well. It's mental rehearsal, because if you can mentally rehearse it in your brain, it's more likely that you're going to accomplish it. Now, there's a quick trick that Tony Robbins did in one of his programs that I listened to a very long time ago. It was either The Time of Your Life or Get the Edge. It was one of those audio programs, one of those OG audio programs that Tony Robbins used to do. I don't know if he still makes those, but those are really cool ones. Anyway, so what he would instruct you to do in this video is he would instruct you to put your finger out all the way, or your hand or whatever like that, and then he would say to you to twist your body around, right, as far as you can go, okay? And then what you could try this now. So stop the video and do this now. Just move your arm, stand up, move your arm, and move it as far as you can turn, right? And move your whole body as you do so, yeah? And then he said, now close your eyes and mentally rehearse you going round and round and round and round as far as you can go, further than you've ever been before. And you pretend that your body's like an owl and it can just turn its head all the way around. And you can just turn yourself all the way around like that, yeah? And then what you want to do then is, after you've visualized that, after you've mentally rehearsed it, give it another go, okay? And if you've done that properly, what you'll find is you realize that actually you can go way further around than what you realized, okay? And that's the whole point of mental rehearsal, okay? Because the more you mentally rehearse and you can visualize yourself doing something, the more likely it is that you're actually going to execute it, okay? So and achieve it, or at least go further than what you thought that you could, okay? So that's one of the reasons why you mentally rehearse. So in terms of this diagram that I got here for you, this is what we want to mentally rehearse. We want to mentally rehearse the ideal you. Now, the ideal you, right, has everything that they've already manifested, right? Surely, right? That's how you would ideally like to be, right? You'd ideally like to have all the things that you want and all your wishes fulfilled, right? So there's that version of you, okay? So how would that person be feeling? How would that person be thinking? What kind of actions would they be taking? Okay, and you visualize that. You visualize that ideal version of you, and that version of you that feels as though the wish has been fulfilled, and has everything that they've ever wanted, okay? And then what you do is, since you've mentally rehearsed the feelings, the actions, and the thoughts that person takes, when you open your eyes, you're more likely then to behave more like that person, okay? And that's how you know you've made a significant change in your subconscious mind, and that's how you know you've made a significant change in your reality. And you've basically jumped timelines, because the moment you start feeling differently, the moment you start thinking differently, the moment you start taking different actions in alignment to that ideal version of you, you've jumped timelines. You're now a different person. You're now going to act and behave differently. Whereas if you didn't do this and you didn't visualize this, you would have just carried on that same timeline and carried on being and thinking and feeling and doing stuff the way that you always had been, okay? So I highly recommend that you go and listen to the questions that I talk about in that video, and I'll leave it down in the description, okay? So you can start practicing this and start becoming that ideal version of you. And of course, as well, to use the Neville Goddard techniques of sleep and prayer, so you can begin another way to condition yourself into thinking and feeling like the wish has been fulfilled. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then you can go to www.christineloveridge.com. But you don't have to. You can just carry on watching. You can come back to this video. You can watch more of my videos so you can coach yourself. And I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.